The Space Shuttle by Kirsten Weir. Ready to launch. The astronaut was ready to make the journey of a lifetime. He was strapped into his seat aboard the space shuttle. The shuttle's rockets began to rumble and shake. Suddenly, the shuttle blasted off. The astronaut, Michael Lopez Alegria, was leaving Earth behind. "You feel pretty excited and a little nervous," Lopez Alegria said. "You get the sense you're going really fast, like being in a sports car." After many months of astronaut training, he was zooming into space. What would it be like to live so far from the surface of Earth? He could hardly wait to find out. The space shuttle blasts off from its launch pad. Earth is one of 8 planets that circle the Sun. It is part of the solar system. Lopez Alegria and his fellow astronauts flew 200 miles up above Earth. Still, they were much closer to Earth than they were to other planets. The solar system is a huge place. The planets are very far from one another. Earth's nearest neighbors, Venus and Mars, are each millions of miles away. Floating around. A few minutes after launch, the shuttle had flown beyond Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is the air that surrounds Earth. The shuttle would circle Earth for the next 2 weeks. During that time, the spacecraft would be home for Lopez Alegria and the 6 other astronauts on board. In space, without Earth's gravity to hold them down, the astronauts were weightless. They unstrapped themselves from their seats and began to float around. Astronaut Michael Lopez Alegria has flown on 4 missions to space. Far from the pull of Earth's gravity, astronauts and objects weigh nothing in space. The astronauts had experienced weightlessness before. Weightlessness is also called zero gravity. During training, astronauts fly on special airplanes that simulate the feeling of zero gravity. During the training flight, though, zero gravity lasts only about 20 seconds. Now Lopez Alegria and the other crew members would experience it for days on end. At first, the feeling of floating often gives astronauts an upset stomach. After a while, they adjust to the sensation and feel better. "The floating in zero gravity is fun," Lopez Alegria said. "You're floating wherever you go," he said. "It's a magical feeling." Life in space. Inside the shuttle, astronauts wear regular clothes, such as t-shirts and shorts. They don't bother wearing shoes because their feet never touch the floor. When it's time for bed, astronauts climb into sleeping bags. The bags are tied to the wall so they don't float around and bump into things while they sleep. Zero gravity can be hard on astronauts' bodies. Since they float instead of walking, their muscles can get weak. That's why the shuttle has a treadmill and other exercise machines on board. Astronauts must exercise regularly to keep their bones and muscles strong. Living and sleeping in zero gravity can take some getting used to. Astronauts need the same number of calories in space as they do on Earth. They eat 3 balanced meals a day, plus snacks. The very first astronauts in space ate mushy food squeezed from tubes. Today's astronauts have better menus. They even have snacks, such as cookies and granola bars. Space foods are made on Earth and then dried out. Up in space, astronauts add water to the foods before they eat them. They can make meals, such as cereal, chicken soup, and macaroni and cheese. Before one of his shuttle flights, Lopez Alegria made a special Spanish rice dish. Scientists on Earth dried it out so he could take it into space. Later, he shared it with his crewmates aboard the shuttle. Hard at work. Life is often fun on the shuttle, but astronauts also have work to do. They spend a lot of time doing science experiments, and they also do repairs on the shuttle. Sometimes, shuttle astronauts deliver satellites into space. Satellites are machines that circle the planet. Some collect information about weather, while others send radio and television signals to Earth. Sometimes astronauts fix broken satellites or spacecraft. For example, some shuttle crews have been sent to fix the Hubble Space Telescope. The telescope has acute instruments that take pictures of faraway galaxies. However, after years in space, the telescope developed a flaw. Shuttle astronauts repaired the telescope so that it would function correctly. The Hubble Space Telescope snapped this colorful photo of a dying star. The International Space Station circles Earth about 250 miles above our heads. The space shuttle also travels to the International Space Station, a permanent shelter that circles Earth. Astronauts started building the space station in 1998, and they are still working to finish it. The shuttle often carries new parts to the station. Then the shuttle parks at the station to deliver the parts. From aboard the shuttle, astronauts operate a robotic arm. They use the giant tool to attach the new parts to the station. During spacewalks, astronauts are tethered to the shuttle so they don't float away. Spacewalking. Astronauts do delicate repairs on satellites or the space station by hand. That means they have to travel outside the shuttle on what is known as a spacewalk. It's called a spacewalk? But we don't really walk anywhere, Lopez Alegria said. The astronauts float. During the spacewalk, astronauts wear a special version of the spacesuit designed to protect them outside the shuttle. The suits keep them warm and give them air to breathe. Before they go into space, astronauts train on Earth. They train for spacewalks by walking underwater in a special pool. The practice helps them prepare for work in zero gravity. Lopez Alegria has been on 10 spacewalks. He thinks that the best part is the view. Astronauts can see Earth passing below them. They can spot the continents and many big cities. As Earth spins on its axis, the astronauts watch from above as day turns to night. It's just so beautiful, Lopez Alegria said. Viewed from space, Earth looks just like the maps, Lopez Alegria said. The space shuttle has been carrying astronauts to space and back for more than 20 years. Shuttle Fun Facts. 6 space shuttles have been built: Atlantis, Challenger, Columbia, Discovery, Endeavour, and Enterprise. Enterprise was used for testing, but never flew in space. 3 space shuttles are still flying today: Atlantis, Discovery, and Endeavour. The first space shuttle flight was in April 1981. After many days in space, it was time for Lopez Alegria and his crewmates to land. The shuttle glided back toward Earth just like a big airplane. It took a while to get used to gravity again, Lopez Alegria said. Everything he held felt heavy. He was happy to be home to see his family, but part of him missed being in space. Astronauts work hard, but living on the shuttle is a lot of fun. It's nothing like living on Earth, Lopez Alegria said. Flying on the shuttle is kind of like going on a wild roller coaster. As soon as you get off, he said, you want to get right back in line and go again. In space, the shuttle flies in temperatures as cold as minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit. When the shuttle speeds back to Earth, the temperature outside climbs to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The shuttle is made of more than 2 million parts. More than 600 astronauts have flown aboard the space shuttle. From space, astronauts see a sunrise every 90 minutes. Glossary. Continent. One of the 7 large masses of land on Earth. Galaxy. A huge grouping of stars. Gravity. The force that pulls all bodies down toward Earth. Hubble Space Telescope. Device that takes pictures of faraway objects in space. International Space Station. A permanent structure that circles Earth. Planet. A large, circular object, like Earth, that orbits the Sun. Satellite. Machine that orbits Earth. Solar System. The Sun and the collection of objects that orbit it, including planets, moons, and other objects. Zero gravity. The feeling of weightlessness that astronauts experience in space. Responding. Target vocabulary. Word builder. What things do you know that are delicate? Copy this chart and list the things. Write about it. Text to world. Write a short paragraph about a delicate object. Use words from the chart. Target vocabulary. Acute. Adjusted. Axis. Delicate. Flawed. Function. Operator. Simulate. Tethered. Version. Target strategy. Question. Ask questions before you read, as you read, and after you read. Word teaser. There's an old saying that nobody is perfect. If that's true, everyone must have one of these things. Take away the ED to find the word.